Another win for the Minnesota Wild as they beat the Arizona Coyotes by a score of 4-1, but it may have come at a price. We'll talk about Eriksson Ek's injury. We'll talk about Ryan Hartman stepping up his play over the last couple of games. We'll talk about the continued inability to hit the broadside of the barn for the most part. All in all, the Wild pick up the win. Let's discuss. The doctor will see you now.
You are Locked On Wild POSTCAST, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The Minnesota Wild pick up a 4-1 win over the Arizona Coyotes here this evening as they continue to keep themselves in position for a potential postseason spot. Kirill Kaprizov picks up 2 more goals. He is on an absolute heater since the calendar flipped to 2024. 30 plus goals. He's got a chance at 40 here this season. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Ryan Hartman scoring for the second consecutive game. A nice night for Marc-Andre Fleury. Although, to credit the Wild defense as well, he didn't have to do all in all, it's an Arizona Coyotes team that you should be able to handle. And if not for the fact that the Wilds missed a few chances, this likely is a much, much wider margin of victory for the Wild here in this one. Let's talk about the big thing. Start off. Eriksson Ek injured in this one. I actually am going to go back and find the tweet so that I can link it in the chat if you did not see what happened. Basically, Eriksson Ek was going for a puck around the boards and got hit by Nick Bjugstad. Eriksson Ek went low. Bjugstad kind of went high, got him right in the lower part of the back. He was in some pain and did not return to the game. John Hynes had no updates after the game. And what do we know about how John Hynes has handled injuries so far this season is that usually if he says it's not a big deal after the game, it's not a big deal. And he had no update. That's not great. That's not great. And so that could present a problem. Of course, we'll talk about it once we know a little bit more of the scope. It's entirely possible it is simply just a kind of a back bruise type thing and it's day to day. But there's a lot of different routes to go, but obviously that is a sizable hole to fill if Eriksson Ek misses any time. So we'll keep our eyes on that. But let's talk about the things that made a difference in this one. Kirill Kaprizov, 2 more goals here tonight. He has his 7th multi-goal game of the season. I think he's up to 33 goals on the season. And I remember vividly early on in the year, we weren't sure if he was going to get to 30 goals. And now he has more than exceeded that number of goals. And I'm actually just going to pull up his statistics since the calendar flipped to 2024, because Kaprizov now in 25 games since the calendar flipped to 2024. Kirill has 20 goals, 19 assists, 39 points. Not entirely sure if that counts tonight's game yet or not, but that is still just a heater for Kirill Kaprizov. And you have, what are we up to now? The Wild are 32-34, so that is 66 games, which means that there are 16 games left. He needs, I think, 17 goals in 16 games to get to 50, which would be just the most insane heater to, to finish the season. Just would be unreal. Marc-Andre Fleury, good in this one tonight. Credit to the Wild defense, though, for not forcing him to face a ton of shots, and credit to the Wild offense, too, for controlling the action for a good majority of this game. Like, missing the broadside of a barn aside, I didn't really ever get the sense that the Coyotes were in position to handle this game. So at least there's that. Ryan Hartman, goal for the second consecutive game, and he's up to 17 on the season. Hartman tonight had 6 shots. He had another 6 shot opportunities in 20 minutes. He also won 8 of 12 faceoffs and had a couple of hits. As Jesse Pierce asked John Hynes in the postgame, the fact that Hartman has been able to stay out of the box here over the last handful of games, that is a large part as to why he has been able to pick things up here. But again, we talked about it in the pregame here today, that Ryan Hartman represents what I think has been a clear need on that second line, is somebody that can shoot the puck. And so the fact that he has come in and has done that has led to that line looking better over the last few games. And Marcus Johansson had 3 shots here tonight. And that's more than he has had. It's more than he's had in the last 6 games combined. So I don't know. The fact that he was on the third line and he was able to do that. If you can get lines 1 and 2, if you can get those to be go-to lines and can get a little something from the third and the fourth line here, that's what you're looking for. You don't need a number 1 line and then a number 2 line to have that same level of production. You need a number 1 line to be able to do what they're doing. Number 2 line to be able to chip in here and there, and lines 3 and 4 with the occasional goal. That is going to be a big part of how the rest of the season plays out if you are going to continue to keep yourself in the conversation. And, we have gone back and forth as a show how on postseason chances for this team and whether we think there is a legitimate chance for there to be anything that comes of it. If you get into the postseason, as of right now, you are 4 points behind the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, the Vegas Golden Knights have 2 games in hand, but you are 2 points clear of the St. Louis Blues. You are the next team that is just outside. So whether you want the Minnesota Wilds to continue to try for the postseason, or if you just are nauseous and are seasick as to how this has played out, this is how it's going down. These final 16 games of the season, it's going to be full bore, pedal to the metal, all the way down to the end. So that's kind of where you're at. And obviously a huge portion of how this season plays out depends on what is going on with Eriksson Ek. So we will await the status of Eriksson Ek. I would imagine we'll get an update tomorrow, hopefully. Hopefully it's just a day-to-day situation, but if not, that's a large It's a large loss at this point in the season. So that's my 2 cents. Hartman was good tonight. Kaprizov continues to be good. And you get, Marcus Foligno got an empty netter at the end. I thought Marco Rossi had a really good game here tonight. That second line and top line both did some good things, missed a few shots, but they both carried the pace, which is what you should have against a team like this. So that's kind of my assessment of what we saw here tonight. And obviously we'll talk a lot about Marat Huznadinov, because if Eriksson Ek is out, somebody is going to have to fill that spot. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Marcus Johansson and Freddie Gaudreau. We'll talk about John Merrill, whatever you want to talk about. Light up the comment section, and we'll get to it as we continue tonight's Locked On Wild postcast after this. Tonight's Locked On Wild postcast is brought to you by Sleeper. And as the season pushes to the final 20 games, you can still win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. To win a 100 times bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. Whether it be Connor McDavid, Alex Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, or Nathan McKinnon, just record whether or not they will hit more or less than their Sleeper projections in those categories. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. Tonight's Locked On Wild postcast also brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. And with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home the win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Welcome back to tonight's Locked On Wild postcast. The Minnesota Wild win by a score of 4-1 over the Arizona Coyotes as they pick up yet another win, and they are now 4 points out of a playoff spot. As the schedule goes tonight, the Vegas Golden Knights have just taken a 2-1 lead over the Seattle Kraken with 3:42 to play in the second period. We are taking your comments here as the show continues. So let's go back to, first off, let me hit everybody with this, because, and I just threw out the bat signal. We may be getting some assistance in tonight's postcast, but I want to hit you with this. Let's say Joel Eriksson Ek misses a game or a game or two. Let's say it's not serious, but he does miss some time. What I would like to see is the following. Top line of Kirill Kaprizov, Marco Rossi, Matt Boldy. Second line of Matt Zuccarello, Ryan Hartman, and Marat Huznadinov. Now, Huznadinov at center, Hartman at center. Honestly, I would like to see Kuznetsov get opportunities at both positions, whether it be getting some games at wing right away, then kind of move into center from there. Probably makes more sense with Eriksson Ek potentially out of the lineup to have Kuznetsov as a center. But the thing that's more important for me is getting an actual not Adam Beckman opportunity to play somewhere in the top 6. What do we think about that? And then I'll kind of circle back to some of the other comments to see what everybody thinks about that. So I would like to see Kaprizov, Rossi, Boldy, Zuccarello, Kuznetsov, and Hartman, because Matt Zuccarello, good playmaker on the wing. Kuznetsov, young player with a ton of upside. Ryan Hartman shoots the puck. And so that feels like if Eriksson Ek is out, that feels like a non-negotiable top 6 for me. So whether it be Kuznetsov as the center for the second line or as the wing, maybe it's a little easier to put him in the wing spot on that second line just to get him acclimated and then move him to center after that. That'd be what I would like to see. So then the follow-up to that is, what does the lineup look like if Eriksson Ek is still in? Then you obviously go Kaprizov, Eriksson Ek, Boldy. My second line then is Zuccarello, Rossi, Kuznetsov. That's an easy spot to get Kuznetsov wing looks and give him an opportunity with a bulldog in Marco Rossi and Zuccarello as the playmaker of that line. The thing is that Kuznetsov is physical, but he also has offensive skill. So give him opportunities in those spots, and Hartman can bounce around really anywhere at this point. Folks, it would help also if I would there we go. Gladdy joining us for tonight's Locked On Wild postcast. Alex, 4-1 win for the Minnesota Wild. We're kind of keying in on what happens if Eriksson Ek misses some time. I just hit the listeners with my line suggestions. It feels like at this point, if Eriksson Ek is out or not, get Murat on that second line, because yes, I know you don't want to penalize Ryan Hartman for playing well the last 2 games. But the thing is that Hartman can play any up. He's a jackknife. Yeah. He can play up and down the lineup. So you put him on the third line, he can bring you that offensive component on that line. I just really want to see Kuznetsov get those second line opportunities.
And Chicago just blew out Anaheim tonight. There was a almost goalie fight. Just chaos. That would be a good team for Kuznetsov to debut against, and kind of an elevated role too. Because like we talked about on Monday's pod too, it's Anaheim just gives up so many chances. I mean, I think Bedard had 5 points tonight, which is just crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. On a bad Chicago team.
Yeah. We'll bounce around a little bit. I'm gonna cycle back up through the comments because I just wanted to throw that out while it was in my head. But I want to start with this one before we really dive in. 98 Charlie. What do we think about the goalie situation at this point? Marc-Andre Fleury, good against Arizona here tonight. It's pretty clear results-wise. Yeah. It's pretty clear that he's the guy to lean on at this point. I know there's concern about that he's a 39-year-old.
He's outplayed Gus. I mean, that's and like we talked about too on Monday, if this is the end of the road for Fleury, ride him hard. I mean, it's not like he has anything left to lose. I know in The Athletic. He kind of talked about some games, he feels like it's the end, but then others when they get a win that he wants to keep going. So yeah, just classic Fleury, and but keep riding him. I know they're playing teams that are awful, but I mean he's outplaying Gus, and when Gus got the chance against like San Jose, if it wasn't for Kirill, that would have been a loss. So Gus did look better against Colorado, but I keep riding Fleury. I mean, there's no reason to change.
No, and if you're in the position in which you have to win games, like you got to go with whoever gives you the best chance to do so. And Philip Gustafsson is like maybe not weapons grade, but Philip Gustafsson is plutonium right now.
Yeah.
He is radioactive.
Yeah.
Like handle with care, because he could be really, really good, or he can be 3-goal Gus that he's been know for a long time.
And we know there's fitness issues with him. So I don't know if he truly is able to handle being a full, starter workload. It seems like he has issues with that, and that's something he's probably going to have to address this summer and get in better shape. It seems like he's just kind of running out of gas too, which is not good when you're only 25 too.
No,
so,
not
and when a 39-year-old, 14-year difference is outplaying you, that's a tough look.
I want to ask you about this too, because this is actually this question was not on the radar 2 months ago. And now all of a sudden Kaprizov is at 33 goals.
Well, remember earlier in the season too, there was that story that came out that he has a injury that's mostly, more seen in baseball than hockey, and that it was going to be something that he'd have to deal with the rest of his career. And now he looks, completely healthy. That's just a crazy turnaround there. Maybe with some empty nets too, that would help get closer to 50. But it's just crazy. Another 3 points tonight.
He needs 17 goals in 16 games. It just sounds insane, but
I mean, it's crazy. Thank God they finally got a goal from the third line tonight. That was, even if it was an empty netter. I mean, just we didn't have to see any more all caps tweets about the third and fourth line. They finally got one.
And turns out that statistic was not 100% correct.
Oh, okay.
Connor Dewar had goals in back-to-back games.
Okay.
One of them, I think, was an empty netter, but he scored the first goal of the game against the Predators.
Okay. So I don't know what happened there, but
still, the point stands. Yeah. It's one goal. If the the goal against Carolina couldn't have been an empty netter. So 2 goals in the last 16 games before tonight by the bottom 6. It's still not a lot.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at all the other teams in playoff, in the standings right now, they get goals from throughout their lineups. So, but I mean, what more can you say? They just, hopefully with Husnudinov getting in there too, you add another playmaker, and we'll see what happens.
I love this from Dan. Team is so frustrating. Must win game, better lose in embarrassing fashion. Selling pieces at the deadline. Time to go on a winning streak. Make it make sense. It
comes from the ownership down. I mean, he never does not want to see a tank. No. And he wants the playoff gate. He wants the playoff money that comes with that. It's crazy. The goaltending was horrendous at the beginning of the year, and it costed Dean his job. I mean, all the coaches that have been fired in the NHL, it's been because of the goaltending. The goalies have been just absolutely terrible.
I'm going to do something that people may be confused by, maybe confused about my well-being by. I'm going to actually give John Merrill credit, because over the last, it's now a good handful of games in which he hasn't been detrimental to the overall outcome. And whether it is that he has simplified his game,
Aiden's
or
nailing it,
is just trying to play.
Just don't turn over the puck. If you don't turn over just make the simple pass, and just like, Aiden has nailed it. He got an assist tonight.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was a little motivated with it being Pride Night too, and good night for that for the fans, and maybe he's watching Dakota Mermis tape too, and Declan Chisholm, and so
seeing the writing on the wall that if I don't pick up my performance, I may find the pine. But then again, not necessarily, because we talked about it in the pregame, and we'll talk about it here in a second. But I'm rattled by the fact that I may or may not have been included in tonight's Becoming Wild. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that, and it's gonna be very easy to tell.
we know Seth's voice, very unique. So
hopefully it's not the John Merrill singing bit. Hopefully it's not the Christmas song. But
yeah, that'd be awesome. Thanks for letting us know, Mike. We'll have to check the tape, as they say.
That'd be sweet. Let's go. Let's get Hoptics in here, because Hoptics has been probably the most prominent figure driving the bus for it is still possible for this team to make the postseason. The Wild are currently 4 points out as we look at what's going on between Vegas and Seattle. The Golden Knights have a 2-1 lead after 2 periods. Standings right now have the Wild 4 points back. They would be 6 points back if Vegas wins. But the situation has always been, we're not worried per se about the Wilds holding up their end of the bargain. That's not the issue. The issue is that you have to hope that Vegas is not getting their slide out of the way now, and that they're going to go on a little bit of a run here. Like they honestly
got to go back now too, which that's tough. That comes in, and they're going to get Hurdle too before the playoffs. So they get their reinforcements ready to go.
So it's not
the Wild are winning. The Wild are winning, but it's games like tonight too, where they where like Seattle plays Vegas. That could, if Seattle ties it up, that, makes it a 3-point game. It's just, because, one of the teams will get 2, one will get 1, and just, you're relying on, the outcomes of other games to make up those points. You can't, at this point of the year, you can't just match, otherwise it's just going to, you can't teeter from 4 to 6 to 4 to 6. They can do it, but they need to hope. Optics, they need Vegas. They need Aiden Hill to keep struggling.
Well, and here's the other part of this. Lou Nanny dropped this nugget a month ago, maybe, because you have the fewest wins of anyone other than Seattle, and Calgary, but because you have fewer wins than Vegas and St. Louis, you have to get more points than them to get in. So you can't tie them and get in on the tiebreaker, because the tiebreaker is regulation wins. So you have to get more points. You also have to hope that they go and they continue the slide that they're on.
And you're right, Optics. I mean, they're playing some really bad teams. Like that Coyotes team is just awful. And those are points that you have to get in regulation, get the 2. Don't even try to mess with overtime, because you don't want games to turn into 3-point games.
I'll go to Hoptics one more time, because he asks about the Foligno and Hartman extensions. Firmly believe that those are 2 people that you want on your team. If anything, the Mojo and Freddie contracts are the ones people should be complaining about. That's
100%.
That's a good assessment, because I think that's kind of where I've tried to get to is I have
the cardio boys, as we as we have nicknamed them. Yeah, I mean, as long as Moose and Hartman stay healthy, I mean, they they play a game where it's it's hard, and at some points it can their bodies can feel it. As we know, Moose had a groin injury, and so yeah, that can happen with how hard both of those guys play, and but they're so valuable to the team too. But yeah, when when Marcus Johansson just refused to shoot the puck, a lot tonight. At least he was out of a top 6 role, but I mean, he's still on the power play. It's just, that one's tough. And Freddie, it's like you and I joke about. It's like the Twins pitcher that got that random Randy Dobnak that got that random extension that didn't. That he didn't earn. Freddie's like Randy Dobnak.
Looking around, ducking shrapnel because we had a Randy Dobnak mention here in tonight's Locked On Wild postcast. Yeah, it's just so it's a situation too with these Hoptics. Like Foligno has looked really good since he's come back. Like, and obviously when he's rolling, he provides a key role in
gets the team fired up.
The bully department, the vibe department. Hartman obviously can play up and down the lineup. When Hartman can keep the penalties lower, can keep them manageable, then he provides good value. It's just when he gets kind of stuck in those ruts where he's committing a ton of penalties, that's where the problems lie. But as far as Johansson and Gaudreau go, like, I think the rest of the season, Johansson should be third line, and Freddie Gaudreau should be your fourth line center. Yeah. Like when Huznadinov plays, if he finds a spot in the lineup regularly, Freddie Gaudreau should be your fourth line center. And I wouldn't even agree. I would not even bat an eye at that. And I mean, it like Johansson, it's just I thought that was concerning that there were people going to bat for Marcus Johansson in that he is having a year that is comparable to like his career averages so far this season. Folks, saying that Marcus Johansson has had like a solid season compared to his career averages is what we call settling.
He's in a top six. He's been in a top 6 role a lot of the year, and he is not producing. I mean, when you're in that elevated role and you're at a lot of nights, one shot on goal. I mean, what are we doing here? And you're on the power play too. It's just that's unacceptable. And for once, he wasn't in the top 6.
It's just like it's settling. It's settling for a known commodity.
Look at
when you could be getting so much more from that spot in the lineup. And anytime you get a player that comes in that does even a little bit more, it's noticeable.
I know we couldn't afford Nyquist, but look at what he's doing with Nashville compared to what Johansson is doing here, because it was basically, would
you like me to look?
Yeah.
I'm in the mood to exhale in a large manner. I shouldn't have looked. Gustav Nyquist has 17 goals, 39 assists. He's got 56 points in 66 games.
Imagine him on the Wild right now.
He's got 17 power play points.
That's what he does. That's that is what Nyquist has always done. Did in college too at Michigan. Yeah, it's he's a power play machine.
Icky. Yeah, it's and I saw Cole ask earlier, we got to go 13-3, and Denny is correct here. Captain is on his game as usual. 13 wins, and you got to hope that everybody else plays like 500.
Nashville, you need Nashville. You need Nashville, need Vegas to just.
Did not expect an explosive shot at Randy Dobnak.
Sorry, Dave. I had to bring it up because they both got extensions that they didn't. It was just random extensions.
Yeah, it's literally only positive things to say about Mojo is that sometimes he can gain the zone entry on the power play. That is literally the only thing. And I will give acknowledgement to this too. Nyquist is probably playing well because he's not here.
Touche, Jeremy. But I still like how Nyquist plays no matter what.
We could also have kept wild legend Ryan O'Reilly
and Dmitry Orlov. Remember,
for more than 20 minutes.
He's the new wild killer, by the way, too.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, you're getting props for the curveball, Alex. It was.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it. The real ones know Randy Dobnak.
So, a couple of the other things that I wanted to bring up here tonight. I want to expand upon what I talked about in the pregame show here. Now that I've got you on, Alex, because I talked about in the pregame this notion of young players having to earn the time to get into the lineup versus, and this again stems from listening to Worst Seats in the House, Michael Russo and Anthony LaPanta. I encourage you to listen as a Wild fan for their insight. But I listened and, you had one side of the coin that was, well, Beckman hasn't done anything to warrant playing in the top six. Like, he hasn't been better than Johansson. He hasn't been better than Lettieri. He hasn't been better than Lucchini. I got to say, I probably disagree.
This is the time to give him that chance. And, the best he's looked is actually that Nashville game. He had a couple of really good chances. That one where the spinorama pass from Foligno, and he looked engaged in that game. And this would have been, against an Arizona team and then Anaheim. These would be perfect opportunities for giving him some elevated minutes where he'd have the space to create opportunities.
Yeah, my comeback to that is, I mean,
so what is Johansson doing differently? What I mean, what is he doing differently?
Yeah, again, my comeback to that is just the fact that, like, you don't know if Beckman is capable of playing that spot or not if you don't play him there. Mm-hmm. And maybe he isn't. Maybe he's not capable of that type of role, but
he's a free agent. I know he's a restricted free agent, but he's a free agent this summer.
Yeah.
I mean,
not even giving him the opportunity just feels like a cop out.
Yeah.
Just give him a chance there. That's all we are asking. If it doesn't work out, you can put whoever back there.
Right.
But we've got another Johansson negated one icing tonight.
The cardio king. King.
Let's go to this a little bit because I actually saw some.
Yeah.
I think it was Russo's team on First Off here today, and so
he's had such a weird career arc with this franchise.
Yeah, but it sounds as though, if I saw correctly, yes, here it is. Russo's tweet. Now that Minnesota Wild's second round pick, Vladislav Firstov's KHL season is over, wouldn't surprise me if he returns to finish the season in Iowa. The former UConn standout had 17 goals and 35 points in 67 games for the Torpedo Nizhny Novgorod. If he comes back, a good sign he wants to be an NHLer. And if I have this correctly, he originally went back to the KHL.
He went AWOL. He just left.
Yeah.
He left Iowa.
Because he thought he didn't, I guess, feel like he had an opportunity. And to be fair, like, again, contrary to what was said on Worst Seats in the House, there are more than a few spots that are blocked by the current NHL roster.
Right. I mean,
So,
those Iowa teams have been awful too. When he was on there too. I mean, Army got fired. They're having a really rough season again. I don't know. It's not ideal down there in Iowa, but people they don't want to be playing in the KHL. You don't you don't know if paychecks are coming. It's craziness over there. It's obviously not ideal to be in Russia right now, and people want to play in the best league in the world too, and he might have to be stuck in Iowa for a little bit, but fight for your spot, and it would not be surprising if he wants to get the hell out of Russia.
You gotta fight for your right to sit in the press box.
Yes.
So we'll keep an eye on that, Hoptics. If there is any steam of him coming here, then
he was great in college hockey. As I'm a big college hockey fan or guy, it's he went and played with a UConn team that's really not known for hockey. It's obviously a basketball school, but he produced big time in college hockey, and then went to Iowa. And like we said, these Iowa teams have not been the greatest. So,
no.
But he'd have to come back to that. But at least you're one step closer to the best league in the world.
Let's let the analytical side of things talk to us a little more about what we saw tonight. Brett did his player cards for tonight's game, and Marcus Johansson and Freddie Gaudreau were both in positive territory. Gaudreau did have an assist, a 50% Corsi 4 percentage for that line.
That will do it when you're playing Arizona too. It's just
that's the other thing too, is you can get away with missing the net a ton against a team like the Coyotes, but this is what we have seen in these instances against some of these teams that you're chasing.
They were making Vejmelka look like he was a Vezina goalie, and he's not a good goalie. I mean,
he isn't.
Yeah, I mean that one Hartman missed a wide open net that was just it was right there, and I'm glad he made up for it later. But there was that they could have made that game 7-8-1. That was that was if you're watching film the next day for the Coyotes, it's going to be the Jack Nicholson gif where you're just tossing it.
Oh man, we are on a roll here tonight.
Yes.
This is also a great point on Johansson. When you are afraid of contact as a hockey player, it's hard to produce. Johansson plays like checking, and contact is illegal.
Yeah, it's
not great.
He it seems like he gets lost out there and just doesn't engage. It's weird. I don't know what the deal is.
Denny, take it easy. We'll be here all week for you. So
see you, Denny.
We'll see you back in the comments here throughout the rest of the week. Kraken tied it up.
Yeah. Wow.
We're going to be scoreboard watching the rest of the
Fighting Dave Hackstalls. They
Oh shoot, I missed Jeremy's question about Toporowski, who has a goal, I think 2 goals since he was acquired by the Minnesota Wild.
He seems just like the Bill Guerin type of guy. He was born in Iowa, which is
Iowa guy, Iowa ties, and now he gets to play for the Iowa Wild, and he's lighting it up for Brett McLean's squad.
Yeah. He seems like a Brandon Duhaime light. That's Guerin. I remember when Brandon Duhaime was just getting going in Iowa, and he unprompted brought up Brandon Duhaime, getting a chance, and he he was right about Duhaime, so we'll see about
Duhaime will hands down go down as the best player in Minnesota Wild history by the time his career is done. I don't have a biased viewpoint for that. That's
what a journey for him, though. I mean, he's from Florida, went to Providence for college, and then gets drafted by the Wild, and then is with Dewey in Iowa for a while, and they came up together, and now they're both on teams that could make Stanley Cup runs. So good for them.
Couple of tweets from Russo after the game. Hynes raved about the game of Ryan Hartman recently. As Russo wrote the other day, he's on top of his game when he's intercepting errant pucks and passes. He's got that knack to react and pick off pucks like few players Russo has covered since he came to Minnesota. He follows that up with, it'll be interesting what Hynes does if Eriksson Ek is sidelined. He likes the Zuccarello, Rossi, Hartman line, so he may be hesitant to break them up. Door may have opened for Kuznetsov to debut on Thursday. Marat Kuznetsov, 1C NHL debut.
Yeah, against the Ducks. Like I mentioned, it's they are not good defensively.
No, they're real bad.
They're real bad. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do in that. John Gibson got ejected tonight, so I don't know if he can get suspended for that, or but
there was a goal. There was a kind of goalie fight. Was
there? Yeah, it was just chaos. Mrazek was in there. It was just on two unhinged teams. There was game got out of hand real fast.
Important thing to remember about these teams that won't make the playoffs is that individually the players want to improve their personal stats. So to say one team is guaranteed a win isn't accurate. And ask the Wild how that worked against the Ducks the last time they played.
It's a good point, Optics. I don't think the players tank themselves. It's GMs that tank their teams, depending on who they throw out there, and experienced guys, or
ask the San Jose Sharks.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's up with that franchise. They now are going to be paying part of Hurdle's salary for the next 6 years. They're retained on. I've never seen a team do that ever. 6 years. They're paying 3 different teams for guys that are no longer on their team. They're paying Brent Burns, they're paying Carlson, and they're paying Hurdle. It's just a strange franchise for sure.
Getting ripped on Twitter.
What's going on?
I didn't. Oh, no. Evidently, by saying refreshing my laptop for that Joel Eriksson Ek update, and somebody responded with, "Why the hell do you care? Don't you want this team to lose anyway?"
No, we're not. We're just being realistic too. It's so hard to climb up against teams, because even if you win, just like I said, it's that Seattle Vegas game. If it goes to overtime, it turns into a 3-point game. So
Seattle has taken the lead.
Huge.
On the Vegas Golden Knights. It is now 3-2, the old Kraken.
Who's in net for both of those teams?
It's a great question. It is Philip Grubauer versus Aiden Hill.
Yeah, Aiden Hill's been off. I don't know what, I'm surprised they didn't try to get a goalie there.
Yeah.
It's
Can people not understand the difference between being depressing and being realistic?
Yeah. Yeah. It's Minnesota sports fans for you. But you have to be realistic, because
that's all we ever are here.
Yeah.
Is just realistic.
Well, how the NHL has their points standings, that's they've created parity, but it's also so hard to climb so many teams when you put yourself in a hole like that, especially when it got down to 8 points. I mean, it's tough. Yes, Sinnery. Yes.
Aiden
Yes.
Hill is playing like his Sharks form.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like, how did the Colorado Avalanche win a Stanley Cup with Darcy Kemper in that? We've seen Darcy go way down, and yeah, it's just crazy.
We're not rooting for this team to lose. We're not running Herbert.
Man, I haven't heard that name in a long time.
It's an inside joke.
Yes.
All right, so if reality is depressing, I am in the realistic camp for sure. Those are two different comments, but they both tell the same story. And GM Boss 11 is right. They've got winnable games, and I have given credit because since the Colorado game, the battle level has been exactly where it needs to be. Yeah. And even though the Wild missed they missed more than a few shots tonight, they still controlled offensively.
When we previewed it, we knew they were gonna have a ton of chances. For sure.
So they controlled offensively, and so if they keep this battle level up, they will be able to put themselves in position to make it. It's just you have to do the thing that is the hardest, which is rely on the other teams to take their foot off the gas, or in Vegas's case, just forget how to win ever again.
We'll take it. Yeah, it's lots of late night scoreboard watching too, because these teams are on the West Coast. So.
And pop-up ads. I bring that up as many times as I do because I'm worried that YouTube is going to slap a copyright infringement on me by playing a YouTube ad, ESPN ad. I try to pause them, and every time I pop open ESPN, it just
the autoplay thing.
Autoplays so stupid.
Yeah.
All right, so where do we think we'll kind of start to wrap things up here for tonight? Let's take predictions let's take the temperature for the, this is a great question. Regardless of what people think will happen to our team in the playoffs, is there any value in just making the playoffs? Like, given the Young Guns playoff experience, there is value there. There's value with getting like Marco Rossi for one.
Yeah, I mean, if they make the playoffs, it's gonna most likely be Vancouver. So you're not only is it playoffs, but you're going into Vancouver. You're going into Canadian market where it's just they are desperate for a Stanley Cup in Canada, and it's gonna be loud there. They have a really really good team. And a fiery team, and it's a good rivalry. The next time the Wild play Vancouver, they're never gonna forget that Kaprizov empty netter when he shot it into the net with like 1 second left. So it's good to get those young guys experience and more time to develop their game in high intense stakes.
The things that you would like to see, like the reasons that playoff experience would help would be Faber, because he's gonna be the one leading your decor well beyond Spurgeon and Brodin.
Yep, future captain. Yep.
Matt Boldy would be good to get him continued playoff experience. Marco Rossi,
Declan Chisholm too. I mean, this guy
Chisholm.
It's just amazing that Winnipeg gave up on him and gives him
baby
more
giraffe Logan
roles.
Stanley, who they were debating trading. I think at the deadline, were they not?
They kept him. It's just crazy.
Unbelievable attitude from the Winnipeg Jets. So yes, there would be value. There would be value in getting playoff experience for those guys, because you do also want to see which of your players step up in those situations, because playoff performers rise on their own. Like, they rise to the occasion on their own.
You're playing for a role for next season, too.
Bingo. Baby giraffe, more like hideous giant ogre.
He's useless out there. Yep.
It's not great. Marcus, appreciate it.
Thanks, Marcus.
A new face to our postcast here. We it seems like we get a few new faces every single time we do these, so love to see that. Yeah, regardless, like, we're not going to just, if the Wild would make the playoffs, we're not just going to shut the lights off and say, well, that's it. We didn't want them.
They've actually played well against Vancouver too.
Yeah.
You know, it could be a sweep, but you know, the games would be entertaining for sure. And Rick Tocchet is just like Rick Bowness too. There's, you know, he's always entertaining. So
maybe you'd get a square off against John Hynes from Rick Tocchet.
Two bald guys going at it. It's too bad that they didn't sign Phil Kessel. That would have been fun to see in the playoffs. But
that would have been immaculate.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too many hot dogs, and that's why I didn't sign him.
As we start to wrap up, let's just recap Marcus Johansson here tonight in a third line role. I mean, I guess I just think they could do.
He leaves you wanting more
with that roster spot.
Yeah.
Like, is it true that he is approaching what is a standard season for him?
Which is nuts because he was in Washington for a while and he played with Ovi. When those guys were in their primes too. It's just crazy.
I think he just is an epitome of like this team in general. Light bulb moment. He is like this team, is that there are some moments where you're like, oh, okay. There are other moments where you're like, oh, okay. By and large, it just is. I feel like they just could have gone any other direction with that roster spot, and you would have gotten more.
And they're stuck with him for next season too. So it's not like this is the
with
end
trade
of it.
protection.
Yeah. So it's like you are stuck.
I hate it. With Ek out long term, Wild will miss the playoffs by at least 6 points. With Ek not out, scenario is Wild will make it. And it feels pretty, like, based off of what we saw in the replay, feels like it's a lower back situation. And so it could be
the way he skated off. It was awkward.
That's the concerning part. That's the concerning part. So we'll wait and see. The Kraken have scored again. So now it's 4-2.
Aiden Hill is crumbling under the pressure.
Aiden Hill is going to get run. He's going to get
run. Would that
be
hilarious for them to make their deadline moves like that and try to LTIR it again and then to miss the playoffs?
Mark Stone their way to sitting on the couch for the postseason.
And Mark Stone's naturally healed. His spleen is all good from the couch.
Yeah, I'm fine, guys. I can come back. We didn't make the playoffs.
It's the wrestling gift too, where they rip off the blanket of
Kevin Nash with the fake cast, and he just gets up and is like, "I'm good. I'm okay. I'm fine."
So many good memes references tonight.
Yeah, I would say on your bingo board, Andy Dobnak was the highlight tonight.
Hope people got a good laugh out of that.
He's 2 years into his 8-year deal or whatever he signed.
Major league money from the minors.
I mean, I guess to be fair, at least we didn't do something like that. Vegas just scored. It's 4-3. Getting updates from everybody as this game goes. I'm gonna have to pop this game on because
chaos.
Hey, listeners, what do we think about this? Here's a thought that I just had. What do we think about this for Saturday, since the Wild play at St. Louis? How about a live stream during the game? thoughts? What do we think? What do we think about a watch along for Saturday's game against the St. Louis Blues? I know I'm going to get some yes pleases and
Yes,
some
pleases.
right right off the bat. Amanda is sold. Let's do it. Yeah, we're yep. Okay, that's settled. We got 2 yeses.
Do it.
Mike is in. All right. We're going to live stream. We're going to watch along during the Minnesota Wild against the St. Louis Blues. And so we'll hang out. We'll chill. Obviously, due to NHL broadcast rules, I can't show you the game on the screen, but I'll do the little score bug thing again. And we'll hang out. Can we finally get Flower versus Bennington? We better. This is the third.
He's going to be doing some shenanigans.
This is the third time.
Especially if St. Louis is completely out of it.
Hoptics. No, I'll just be repping it down at home base. Obviously, since I have a couple of screens, I'll have the game on so that I can watch it and talk about it. But we'll hang out. We'll talk through things. I'll probably do some play-by-play since that's part of what I do for my day job. We'll have fun. We did this for the Sweden games, and it's about time we did another one of these. So it's settled. Live stream during the game against the Blues on Saturday. I'll put some stuff out on social so people don't forget. And yeah, we'll yes, beverages. Most definitely. We'll have some wobbly pops.
God. Oh, so good. So good.
That is also an inside joke back to the Twitter Space days.
Yes.
Some what was the other thing that they were called?
The type of beer or
that cold snacks.
Yes, cold snacks. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, we'll do that on Saturday. And Ron, stay tuned. Stay tuned for this. We'll get that going. It's just easier to do those types of things when the season is done, so that nobody is locked in. And we'll get the
yes
Montucky cold snacks. They're both on it.
Yes.
Love this.
Yes.
Love this.
We had a guy that in Twitter Spaces called Party Mark that was his drink of choice.
I'm gonna have to go get some.
Yes.
All right, my beloved listeners, the Wild pick up the win tonight, 4-1. They take on the Anaheim Ducks on Thursday. Likely Marat Huznadinov's NHL debut. I'll be there in person. Was going to go tonight, but I'll have. This is the first. I did the math. It was 16 games in 18 days at the day job. So I needed just a night to kind of not be in the car. So Thursday we'll be there, get an opportunity to see Marat Huznadinov in person. And we've got Isha Jerome of the Soda Pod coming on for Thursday's episode. And so that will be a fun ad. That's kind of a new collaborative bit that we'll be doing here throughout the rest of the season. Obviously, we got Micheletti Mondays. We'll have Isha Thursdays or something. We'll come up with a name for that. So that should be elite. And obviously, as always, make sure to hit the like button before you head out for the night. The Minnesota Wild pick up a 4-1 win. And John Merrill did not lead to a debilitating goal here tonight. So everybody is having a good time. We'll wait to see the status of Joel Eriksson Ek. We'll have it for you when there is an update. But beyond that, thanks for joining. Thanks for subscribing. And make sure to hit the like button on your way out. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any new content throughout the week. We've got you covered with new episodes every Monday through Friday as part of the Locked On Podcast Network.